Oh, while we're destroying myths, let's talk data centers. We've busted several of these myths already. For example, it's not just about AI. That's still less than 20% of what data centers do. It's mostly about the apps you run, both at home and at work, and especially on your mobile devices. And the biggest offender is by far streaming video. It also doesn't use all that much power and water. Big numbers are being used to scare you without a comparison to what we'd be doing without the data centers, which make practically everything more efficient. And here's a new one: existential dread of the internet. A HeatMap news poll found that 75% of Americans would oppose a data center being built where they lived, with 61% saying strongly oppose. That's up from 24% just a year ago. Amazing what fearmongers in the news media can do. It's incredible how propaganda can get people to oppose their best interests. Data centers, far from causing problems, have massive economic benefits for their surrounding areas. For example, a local data center generated so much money for Loudoun County, Virginia, that they were able to cut everybody's property taxes. Nick Claremont of the Free Press got a lot of likes from his ex-post, which said, "I think the data center backlash is, at a deeper cultural level, the expression of people recognizing that the internet is on net simply bad. It is our generation's version of environmentalist opposition to nuclear power, a highly irrational on the face of it sublimation of the cultural horror at nuclear weapons. And in that sense, it is right. The internet, since the dawn of social media, is an awful, inhuman, net negative force for evil in life, and we should turn it off, however nice the affordances of Spotify and Google Maps may be." But as Reason's Robbie Suave wrote about the sudden opposition of political leaders to social media, quote, "I don't think the proposition the internet itself is bad is actually up for debate. Is it really possible to argue that human beings were better off without it? The idea that this is why people don't like data centers strikes me as implausible, since the opposition to data centers frequently cites misguided but tangible criticisms like electricity costs, water usage, and noise. I suppose it's possible that these criticisms are manifestations of some deeper existential dread, but is that likely? No, it doesn't seem like it. Not based on how much we actually rely on the internet. It's just another case of people falling for myths perpetuated by political interests without really thinking about it. And the poll found that this negativity applied to rural and other Republican-strong areas as well. That's what caused PJ Media's Scott Pinkster to wonder, for whatever reason, American voters are indifferent to pandering. I don't know why. So it shouldn't be a jaw-dropping revelation that Republicans have stooped to pandering on the data center issue. Nobody should be surprised. It's the perfect storm for shallow, uninformed political opportunism. As he points out, they're already unpopular, but because the technology is so new, its supporters haven't really galvanized. To go back to the comparison to nuclear power, look at how many decades it's taken for supporters of nuclear power to finally make headway. And look at how many wasted years we had of pollution and fears of climate change while we repressed our very economic prosperity. The anti-data center movement will go the same way. Just take a listen to this histrionic political ad for Tom Tiffany, congressman for Wisconsin's 7th District.
Meet data center David Crowley.
There's an opportunity for us to really become AI and a data hub for not only for the entire country, but for the entire globe.
And he wants you to pay for it. Data center David Crowley won't roll back data center tax incentives. Our lakes run dry. Family farms paved over. Why? Because Crowley's campaign is funded by the people building them. Data center David Crowley. Big tech wins. Wisconsin pays.
Lakes run dry because data centers use 17 billion gallons of water. Oh my God, that's a huge number. That must be bad. Except, as Pinkster points out, it's just 0.14% of America's water consumption. Barely a rounding error. Residential car washes use 100 billion gallons annually, and private swimming pools use 120 billion. Golf courses use even more, 531 billion gallons a year. Pinsker kept going, quote, "One more, we lose 900 billion gallons of water annually to leaky pipes. Corn irrigation uses 1,860 billion gallons, and residential lawn care uses 2,900 billion gallons of water each year. So why aren't politicians banning private swimming pools, golf courses, corn chips, and lawn care? Why attack data centers? You already know why. Crass political expediency. It's as simple as that. It's just more neo-Luddism that needs to stop." And his analysis, which you should absolutely read, of how all this pandering is an economic dead end is right on. That is a humongous cost just to give Tiffany a little boost in the polls. I wish more people would see how this comes directly from the Marxist playbook. As Suave said, advocates for building new data centers need to do a better job explaining to the public that they create huge amounts of value for the country overall as well as the communities where they're built. And as Pinsker said, the trouble is that opposing data centers is anti-growth, anti-prosperity, and anti-innovation. Not only will it make Americans poorer and prices higher, but it also surrenders the AI arms race to communist China. And if AI is as revolutionary as its harshest critics claim, that's the last thing we ought to be doing. And what should we be doing? How do we win this? Quote, "We win by showing voters why the socialists are wrong and explaining how free markets are better." Couldn't have said it any better myself.